This is a KCSL TV6 special report. As the end of the school year crept closer, the forensic science students at Canyon Springs were looking forward to more than just summer vacation. They were anxiously awaiting the mock crime scene they had been preparing for all year.
We've actually been preparing for this since the beginning of school year when we learned how to do stuff. We've been doing things like blood spatter, fingerprinting, and it's all kind of coming into play. Everything we've learned is kind of tying together.
On the morning of March 16th, the exercise began when a body was found and identified as Al Johnson. Al Johnson, a well-known janitor at Canyon Springs, was found presumably murdered in the school's theater, and it was up to the students to find the perpetrators. But this crime involved more than just the forensic science classes. This school-wide event integrated many different classes and forced them to work together in order to solve the case from beginning to end.
The idea here is that we're bringing together numerous classes, mock trial class, forensic science, CAD, and broadcast journalism. When we do the crime scene, we're actually going to have perpetrators. We have a real body pretending to be dead, okay? And the object is for them to come up with the physical evidence to convict the perpetrators. The mock trial class then has defense attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, a judge, district attorney, and we have to come up with jurors from there. And we're going to run a case May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And it brings together the theme of our school is Leadership and Law Preparatory Academy, and it brings together different disciplines.
Because of the uniqueness of this case, it attracted the attention of the local news stations from around Las Vegas.
We are here covering what looks to be a really cool program that Canyon Springs is doing, the forensics class. Not the type of thing you see every day, special enough to get us to come out and cover it.
In real life, I go out and I see this, and unfortunately the bodies don't get up and walk away. We see this in real life, and so to come see the process of people learning it, that's interesting.
We're going to come shoot the students working in the lab. We're going to come shoot the trial. We're going to follow it all the way through. It should be a pretty good piece.
What I've seen today was pretty impressive. I was impressed that people were taking things very conscientiously. They were concerned about losing bits of evidence or the chain of evidence, losing chain of evidence, which is pretty impressive.
Locating the evidence was no easy task, and the three lead investigators had to work hard to keep their groups on track.
I'm one of three lead investigators. I'm pretty much, I oversee everything and I help people do and answer questions.
We're the ones who have to kind of keep track of what everybody's doing and get everybody so that they're just working together and getting everything accomplished quickly but very accurately.
Well, the crime scene's in the theater right here, but it has no limits. We're scouring the entire school to find a murder weapon right now. There's body, blood, there's all kinds of stuff laying around. We have to take all that into evidence. And right now, like I said, we're just trying to find everything we can.
And it wasn't long before all that searching paid off.
We just found the murder weapon, or what we suspect is the murder weapon, down in one of the 200 hallways in a trash can.
So basically what we have so far is right south here of the registrar's office, right behind me, we have a trash can right in front of the 200 office. When searching through that, we found a plastic bag, which we found suspicious because it's nothing we've ever seen around school before. After we photographed it, we picked up the bag only to find a hammer drop out of the bag. So basically what we have right now is a hammer that we're fingerprinting to see if it matches any of the prints that we found within the scene itself or any of the witnesses that we do have.
We're still trying to determine who our suspects are and trying to determine the entrance and exit.
What we have is video evidence of a man running by the trash can only to stop, run back towards the trash can to drop off said bag in there, and then run off again.
Right now, we're actually writing up a search warrant to subpoena one of the teachers to investigate him, and we have to check his hands because I guess he has blood on his hands. So he's one of our suspects now.
The students had two main suspects. The first was Mr. Adam Sutherland, who was identified from the security cameras through video analysis. The second suspect was the theater teacher, Miss Kelly Loignon, who was found at the scene with blood on her hands.
Apparently I'm a suspect in something that happened last Friday on campus. Actually, I haven't got all the details on it quite yet. As far as I know, they came in, they searched my room. They didn't actually take any information, any evidence out of my classroom. Other than that, I haven't heard a whole lot. I gave my fingerprints, I gave a statement earlier today, and as of right now, no, I don't have a lawyer. I didn't do anything wrong.
But before being questioned, Ms. Loignon requested that a lawyer be present so that all of her rights would be protected.
I'm just going to make sure they don't abuse any more of her rights than they already abused. They badgered her and they continually badgered her. Just now she's walking out the office. One of the investigators say, "Are you done killing, you killer?" You know, that's badgering. It's completely unfair. She is the theater teacher. That's where her classroom is. She has to be there. I was told that they actually do have someone else in custody, Mr. Sutherland, and they're their lead. He's their lead right now. He has red stuff on their hands. How do they explain that?
The students took some time to regroup and discuss the evidence. They also went over proper techniques to keep from having any of that evidence thrown out in court.
Basically, if the person gives you consent, if they're willing to answer questions, then we can just go right on ahead and ask the questions that we need to ask.
We questioned the theater teacher, and we didn't have the proper warrants, and the other side is trying to throw out our case, so we went back, got the proper warrants now, and now we're redoing it and trying to fix everything.
Because they didn't follow the right process, I had to tell them, you can't do this, and we have to stop this right now before she sues you.
The forensic science classes spent the next couple of weeks analyzing all the evidence, but they were still missing one key point. They did not have a motive.
When we were interviewing the drama teacher, she mentioned something about a coffee can with money that was in the freezer, and we went in there and we looked in the freezer and there was nothing there. So right now we're going off of that as motive. We really don't know where this can is on. We have to find it. We have to get a search warrant for one of our suspects' rooms, see if we can find it in his room, and we have to try to find this can, get it to turn up somewhere.
They found the coffee can in Ms. Loignon's office, and this linked both Mr. Sutherland and Ms. Loignon to the crime. After getting the arrest warrant signed by the judge, Mr. David Eason, the security teams were excited to finally make an arrest.
Basically, we have enough substantial evidence that links Mr. Sutherland to be one of the perpetrators in the murder, so we're about to go arrest him based on murder charges. I'm going to actually be the one who arrests Sutherland and handcuffs him. We bring him into custody, and then basically we get to question him, and basically he's provided with all of the evidence that we have against him. He becomes aware of that, and we just go from there.
Ms. Loignon was brought into custody shortly after the arrest of Mr. Sutherland, where they both had to await the upcoming trial. The mock trial classes had 2 weeks to organize and assess all the evidence and affidavits in order to make their cases hold up in court. May 1st was the first day of trial, which was being held in the school's state-of-the-art courtroom. And just like any other trial, this one also began with a jury selection.
We started with an array of more jurors than we needed. Initially, we just had some from Mr. Taylor's street law class, and they were given a jury questionnaire to fill out. Unfortunately, only 4 of those 12 jurors we selected showed up today, and so utilizing students from other classes, we had an array of more than 12, and then both sides, after asking questions, decided to excuse 3 jurors with what we call peremptory challenges, where for no reason at all they can ask that up to 3 jurors be excused. Now we have 12.
After selecting the jury, the prosecution and the defense began with their opening statements. In these statements, they mentioned who would be testifying for them, as well as why the jury should vote for their side.
It's a very important decision. A decision of whether or not my client, Adam Sutherland, a professional, a teacher, a man who every day comes to this facility and educates and molds young minds every day, whether this man is capable of coming to school one day and becoming a murderer.
Both sides spent the remainder of the day questioning witnesses and using the evidence to help argue their cases.
Well, today the prosecution will get almost all of its key witnesses in, setting it up tomorrow for the big ones.
All we got is Miss Loignon and Kendra. She's the fingerprint expert. Hopefully they win us the case.
On day 2 of the trial, the prosecution brought Ms. Loignan to the stand, who had originally been part of the defense team.
Ms. Loignan was originally, the defense was handling her, but because she admitted to murdering him and she agreed, she gave us a deal, we actually brought her onto our side. She's now our main witness, and so hopefully we can get some good things out of her.
After hearing Ms. Loignan's testimony, the defense brought Assistant Principal Mr. Butler to the stand.
Mr. Butler was a really good witness for the defense, and I think he kind of won over the jury a bit. He was defending Mr. Sutherland. He was one of our key witnesses for Mr. Sutherland.
After all the witnesses had been questioned, it was finally time for the jury to deliberate. They exited the courtroom so that they could privately discuss all the evidence and decide the fate of Mr. Sutherland. But while they were trying to decide, the jurors requested that they be able to visit the crime scene to get a better understanding of what may have happened.
We decided to go reenact the crime scene in the theater.
Because we wanted our own perspective, how he actually lay down and how they did it.
On the final day of trial, the court awaited a verdict, but the defense team was not happy to hear that the jurors had visited the crime scene.
The defense tried to make a motion, and we lost it. It was a really important motion for our case, but we're still hoping that the jury will acquit Mr. Sutherland. The motion was for mistrial because the jury was taken to the crime scene, which usually isn't allowed, especially without, counsel present to be there and talk about it and object to it and whatnot. So we thought it would create a bias or prejudice, so we objected.
They were escorted by the bailiff, so all the procedures was followed. So I understand what they're trying to say, but it happens in real life, so if the jury wanted to go see the crime scene, then let them see the crime scene.
Silence quickly fell as the jurors re-entered the courtroom.
We find the defendant Adam Sutherland guilty.
The prosecution team was excited to hear this verdict, but the jurors still had to make one more decision. They exited once again to decide how long Mr. Sutherland would be sentenced to prison.
I'm hoping for the minimal sentence, although, I'm innocent. I shouldn't be getting any sentence.
We did as hard as we could to bring out all the evidence that made Mr. Sutherland look guilty, and we won. We got manslaughter. He's guilty.
Well, we're waiting for the jury to come back. I think the prosecution did an excellent job, and the truth came out.
Any comments on Ms. Loignan? I feel like she tried to use me as a bit of a scapegoat. She did admit to the murder. The prosecution doesn't have a whole lot of evidence on me, other than I was in the room at the time of the murder. So I'm not feeling too good about it right now.
Mr. Sutherland was the one that, in fact, killed Al Johnson.
Well, it's never going to be okay. There's a person dead, and I feel responsible for that. So if it's 5 years because I got 5 years, then I can understand why they did that. But, hopefully they will see that, a person is dead, his family's going to grieve forever, and so Mr. Sutherland needs to pay for that crime.
The prosecution once again had their wishes fulfilled as the jurors sentenced Mr. Sutherland to 20 years in prison.
We're all kind of down a little bit. We worked really hard on this case. It was real apparent from the very beginning that the prosecution had a lack of evidence. That showed in court. We showed the numerous and repetitive times that they lied and that they contradicted themselves. It was clear to everyone that the prosecution just couldn't prove their case, and unfortunately, the problem with most criminal trials is that juries just like to prosecute. They like to put away a guy in jail no matter if he's innocent or guilty, and that was clear today.
After 35 days of hard work by the forensic science classes, the mock trial classes, CAD, and the broadcast journalism classes, the case finally came to a close.
I thought it went really well. I thought it was great. So many teachers were involved, the students were involved, and everybody really played their part.
It was cool because, Mr. Nordstrom got the forensics team, then he brought in the mock trial team, so combining the two curriculums and coming together and doing the trial, and overall it was a lot of fun, and the kids next year should have a lot of fun doing it. Great experience.
The students prepared a lot. They did a lot of work. The forensic science team gave us a stack of photos about this thick, so the kids had to go through all the photos, pick out the ones that they could use in court, go through, and they took all the evidence to affidavits and then had to set up how we would prosecute and defend the case. So basically they put the entire the whole trial together.
A first-time effort. I think it went off very well. I think all the students did a great job. It was really exciting and fun to play. And, next year we just, tweak a few things, and it just makes it more exciting, and hopefully it'll become a tradition to do this every year, and it'll be Canyon Springs.
Graduation's just around the corner. going to UNLV. I'm a criminal justice major. I mean, it was fun. It was our last time in the courtroom, and we really enjoyed it, and it's something to remember.
His part in this was that he had a gambling problem, and he knew that Miss Leugden had a bunch of money from her plays, that she had sold a bunch of tickets. He was going there to steal the money. Unfortunately, Mr. Johnson was the custodian there, and he wouldn't leave. He decided to kill the custodian. We had him use a hammer, Miss Leugden the screwdriver. He offered her a large sum of money. Once he started killing him, she wanted to make sure he was dead because she was there. She would be an accomplice. He ran out of the theater, and what he did with the weapon was solely up to him. None of that from there on was plotted. And it was up to the forensic science team to come up with the evidence, and everything just unfolded naturally.